All right, Matthew McConaughey, welcome to the Mom Room.
Good to be in the mom room, Renee.
So I always ask my guests what their transition into motherhood was like. So for you, I'm going to ask you what your transition into fatherhood was like. Was there anything unexpected? Was it more difficult than you anticipated?
Very early on, I think the first lesson that became clear that was different than what I had thought was the nature over nurture. I knew how important nurture was, but I didn't realize how much nature was like, oh, they are who they are. They come out. You can amend, you can shepherd, you can guide, you can help them get rid of some of the poorer habits of their DNA. You can help them turn on and amplify some of the better habits of their DNA, but they kind of are who they are.
Do you guys see a lot of yourself and Camilla in your kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's certain things. I think usually there's certain things that I won't notice are me about them, but Camilla will be like, duh, don't you see where they get that from? Or I'll notice things about them and she'll be like, where'd they get that from? I'm like, look in the mirror, And we remind, I think, each other more of how our kids are like each other than we even notice ourselves sometimes. But yes, indeed.
So was fatherhood what you expected it to be?
I'm still on that's something I could probably tell you once my kids are all out of the house. I didn't have any concrete ideas about what to do when. I probably had, my instincts were surely primed for it. We were not interested in, all the books we were unsolicitedly given. Wanted to, we had a similar, Camilla and I, similar moral bottom line about what we wanted and how we saw ourselves parenting in our imagination. We had plenty of talks about how we were both raised, about the assets of how we were, about things we'd like to amend and change, about how we each were raised. We were very clear on what I learned from my parents and what she learned from her, that it was very important for us to instill in our own kids, that we wanted to carry on. It's constantly surprising, and I've got two now teenagers. That's a whole new treasure chest of emotions and things and wants and needs. And they're starting to notice that, for the first time, I don't have time to do everything I want to do. If I do this, I have to sacrifice that. So what's more important? Well, when they're younger, it's kind of like 24 hours is plenty of time to do all you want to do. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you start getting commitments and interest in different places. It's like, you're going to have to kind of pick one or the other, and that time management they're having to do right now. Plus the world telling them, you need to figure out what you want to be, or who you are, what you want to do. And we're trying to like, no, you don't. Try different things out. I had this conversation with one of my kids the other day. Just going on to play a sport. It's like, so, because if I play the sport, do you tell me, does this mean I need to be pro in it? We're like, no, it doesn't mean you need to be a pro in it. Just go try it. It's exercise. It's good for your brain. It's good for your body. It's good for your spirit. And just give a good effort. You don't have to be a pro at it. Don't put that pressure on yourself, which is a lot of what I think the book's about. There's certain pressures that kids feel that aren't really necessary to feel.
No, for sure. You can tell them about me. I finished my PhD a few days before quarantine, and now I podcast for a living. So, things change.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would you say your life, what was the biggest change in your life that you noticed from pre-kids to post-kids?
One, a feeling of immortality, which I believe every parent, if we're fortunate, becomes with the passing on of our lineage and bloodline and shaping and these young minds and spirits and sending them off. And if we're fortunate enough for them to procreate, we live forever. It's the greatest example, the greatest mirror we live, the greatest shadow or light we leave. You want to know a parent, go hang out with their kids. Yeah, that'd be the first one that I noticed, or a different way. And you just, you go through, you don't have children, you live for today. You don't have to project as far forward with your decisions you make, because it's like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine, whatever happens here. You have children, it's like, I'll be fine, but they won't necessarily be fine if this goes awry. So you start making choices and have considerations for your dependents, because they are dependent on us. So those considerations and those projections into the future of choices to make, sacrifices I got to make. Like I can't take one-way tickets anymore. That was a great thing before kids. I could take a one-way ticket.
Just up and go.
Go. That's a great idea. Get the backpack on. Let's go. Camilla and I could just go. You can't do that anymore. They've got school. They've got teams. They need breakfast. They need sleep. They need shepherding. They're still learning. We're still teaching them. They're in training. So you get round trip tickets. You have to have a return ticket when you become a parent. You know what I mean?
Double the airfare.
Yeah.
So my mom texted me today and she was like, Renee, are you going to ask Matthew this question? I was like, no, Mom, I didn't have that on my list, but I will add it for you. So this is the question from Sue, my mom.
All right. Hi, Sue.
She wants to know, how do you think your childhood influenced your own parenting today? It's a big one.
There's a big one. It's a good one. Look, my childhood, no matter if we were getting disciplined, no matter if we were in trouble, whatever, which was not most of the time at all, it was very clear. It was never in question in my childhood whether my parents absolutely, unequivocally loved me or not. I heard it a lot. So did my brothers. I love you. I just don't like you right now. When we would mess up or, keep disobeying or whatever. But the love was never in question. And I believe this wholeheartedly as I became a parent. And I think it's true for any parent that's anytime you get in a pinch about what should I do? I don't know what. Well, if your child knows you love them, no matter what, yeah, you may make not the best decisions here or there, but they know that secure feeling of knowing you're loved in the home, I know is big part of the reason why I was able to have the courage to fly outside of it, to be away from my parents as I got older, or from my brothers, or from a girlfriend in my past, or from my family even now, and going, no, I know that love still. We may not be there physically right now, but that's the same moon that they're under, and that's the same sun that they're under, and their love's traveling over time across the ocean, wherever I may be, or wherever they may be. Knowing that's there, that they're still with me and I'm still with them, that's part of knowing that you're loved without question.
And so you guys kind of do the same thing for your kids. You want them to feel that, obviously.
Yeah. We definitely do. And we definitely do love them that way. And they know that. Sometimes do you start to wonder, I'm sure as a child? Sure. I'm sure sometimes when you're feeling lonely or confused. But we try to make sure, and I think our kids know that when you get in those times of confusion or frustration, know that you can always rely on your family and the love that your parents have for you, no matter what. Or when we have to discipline them, remind them, hey, I love you no matter what. All right, this is not a question about you being less loved. This is, don't really like what you did right here, and we're going to help you amend that. All right, but the love is not in question. That's not up for even. That's not negotiable. It doesn't matter what you do. We always love you. But let's just talk about how to amend this behavior. So maybe, if you amend this behavior, you'll be showing actually that you love yourself more, maybe than you do right now.
Yeah.
But having that as a baseline that's just not in question, I know they feel that. Do they have to remind themselves of that sometimes? Probably. I know I did even as a kid, but it was never negotiable. We knew we were loved as kids.
So your oldest son, Levi, is 15 years old. And when you look back on the last 15 years, are you happy with the balance that you had between fatherhood, marriage, and career. Did you feel fulfilled in all three areas at all times, or was it like hit or miss in different seasons of life?
Good question. For the most part, I'm happy to say that I'm happy with that balance of those three. Look, I question it every day, and sometimes, the it's hard to keep all three in the black running at a high level. Career takes off. Oh, obsessed and married to work. Oh, marriage and partnership can fall off. Kind of just checking in. Fatherhood. God, be there, be there, be there, be there, be there, be there, be there. Oh, that's up there. Wait a minute. Am I giving myself enough time to do the work that makes me feel significant on my own? Oh, I don't know. Gotta balance those. Got to make sure I keep the bound. Marriages, that's a challenge. The couple creating the boundaries between the marriage and parenthood is a real challenge, because what like we were saying earlier, I know those one-way tickets or choices. I'll be okay no matter which the outcome. And then you get a partnership, and you start to go sometimes, I know I do it. We'll be okay. But maybe they won't. So default can be parenting. And you can overparent to an extent where all of a sudden the couple, you're looking at each other going, hey, F them for a little while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? we need a date night or whatever that is. You know what I mean? But and I have to watch it because I'm like, well, they're dependent. They need us, right? And we have to remind, as a couple, we don't have to remind each other. Shut the door. Let them go get bored on their own. Let them go figure it out on their own. It's our time. And so it's a constant juggling of those three.
I heard a quote a couple years ago that you might like, and it was, because you always hear like, oh, you can have it all, and they were saying you can have it all, but just not on the same day.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you're saying, right? It's like teeter-tottering throughout life.
Yeah. I have a quote in Green Lights that I say, the genius is not all to each. The genius is each to all. I think anyway, it's about being one at a time, and you can't just go in and go, I can be everything at once. No, it really works when you're going like, I am absolutely being a super dad today. Oh, I'm absolutely committed to my work this afternoon doing this. I'm absolutely being the best husband I can be at this moment. And it can get murky when you're trying to wear all the hats at the same time. Now, it's really nice when you can get your life structured where the daily schedule sort of encapsulates the ability to balance those three. Whether it's work in the day, then let's have a meal as a family tonight. Before we have the meals as a family, let's make sure we play outside in the backyard. Let's have some time and get the kids down. And then, honey, you and I come together? How's our day to have an intimate talk together at the end of the night? When the day's scheduled and you follow a ritual, rituals help with that. Whether it's just like, we're going to sit down for dinner, whole family, no devices. We're going to talk. We're going to say gratitude. We're going to share something from our day, a rose or a thorn. That's good family time that if we go, we're committed to that for an hour a night, you can get a lot out of that.
Yeah.
Then, okay, now it's time for you to go to bed. No, we're not staying up later. Why? Because me and your mom are going to spend some time together. That's why. Without you.
Yeah.
On purpose. Go to bed.
No offense, but.
Yes, or if you take offense, take it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of people say, like family comes first. And in my family situation, my husband is a surgeon. And so there's this kind of understanding that his work will often come before certain family things. Like if he gets called into the hospital, he's leaving soccer practice or whatever it is. And I feel like it's just the nature of his job. And I feel like you might relate to that in some sense where you have to put your career first sometimes. But I'm wondering if there's anything that you do to let your family know that they are, in fact, the priority, even though sometimes your work might have to come first.
Well, I think inherently when our work or career comes first is indirectly letting them know that they're still a priority. Meaning, in the same way that mom and dad have to take their own time. You want to best thing you want to teach your kids how to treat each other or a woman or a man in their life. Show them how you treat their mother. Show them how you treat their father. Show them, let them see you. Let them walk in the kitchen and you're hugging and having a kiss in the kitchen. Let them see you be affectionate to your spouse. That's a great example for them. They're not involved in it. They're voyeurs on that. But that's still a great example for them where they were not the priority, or going to work. My kids learn and trying to, this delayed gratification is something that kids need to learn that most adults still need to learn. When I won the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club, I remember this, this is parents, you certain things happen. You're like, oh, this could be a great teaching moment. I remember my kids going, so what's the trophy for? I said, do you remember a year ago when we were in New Orleans at that house? Yeah. Remember Papa was coming home and you were saying, oh, he looks like a giraffe. He's so skinny. And they're like, yeah. I remember that. I said, remember, you'd get up in the morning and I'd already be away at work. And I'd come home at night, see you, we'd have dinner, and I'd go to bed and do it again. They're like, yeah, we remember that. And I go, well, what I was doing every day for that month and a half, a year later, my peers deemed it to be most excellent work and gave me a trophy for it. And they went, I saw it click. They all went, wait, so you can do something today that you'll get rewarded for tomorrow? Like, yeah, you can. You can live and work in a way today that you will be rewarded later on down the line. So that's putting my career first, but it's indirectly teaching them, it's directly teaching them. Oh, my mom and dad get up and go, they prepare and they take their work seriously and they go after it and they take care of business and they have responsibilities that they're not just my full-time babysitter. Teaches independence to them, teaches them. It's the old, oh, I'm bored. Well, good. I'm glad you're bored. Use your imagination. You're being lazy. Figure something out. I'm not going to be here to entertain you all the time. I shouldn't be, because the world ain't going to be there to entertain you 24/7 when you're out on your own. Figure out how to entertain yourself, or see the example of mom and dad going to work, or dad having to go do something and go, I mean, he was committed to that. That's indirectly a great lesson for them that does make them a priority.
Mm-hmm. I love that answer. Yeah, and I think lots of people listening will click with them as well. Because I think parents struggle with, especially nowadays, like you were saying, go entertain yourself. Nowadays, it's like parents feel like they need to be like the entertainers 24/7.
Yeah.
And so they struggle with, work balance and then doing that with their kids. So that was a good thing for all of us to hear. Have you ever experienced dad guilt? Like, mom guilt is such a big thing. And every time a dad comes on the podcast, I ask them this question. Like, is that a thing?
Well, like in what way? What do you mean? Like comparable to mom guilt? Like what would you call mom?
Mom guilt could be like, it's sunny on a Saturday afternoon and Milo, my son, he's 5. He's like watching Paw Patrol and I'm trying to get something done. And so I feel guilty, like I should be taking him to the park because it's sunny outside.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's plenty, yes. And, there's been times where, I feel like in hindsight, I should have stuck with that and finished talking to them for just another 30 minutes. But I was so damn tired and I had to get up early in the morning. And damn it, you could have, and then I have to go, all right, amen, that you put in a good effort. Because sometimes you have the energy. and you stay up and you walk away as parents, you're like, we just dumped. That was great. That was clear. They got it. They're going to bed happy with a new understanding. They understand what they did. Sometimes it's just, we get tired too. It's just like, we kind of left it incomplete. Didn't quite teach that lesson as well as I could have, or they didn't understand it, or I didn't communicate it in a way that they could understand it. And it's hard to come back, because it's when we teach, it needs to, whether it's consequences or whether it's praise, it needs to come right after the event. If you keep pushing it, it kind of doesn't mean anything as much to them to go retroactively go, now let's pick back up what we were talking about that. It doesn't really work. You kind of have to do it in the game live. And so I've had some incompletes, I have had some, mothers, and I know Camilla, the resilience that mothers have, and I would argue more so than dads, that to go, I'm not leaving it incomplete. to go, I'm like, I gotta go make a pot of coffee. Oh, geez. Can I tap out here a minute? Can you tap in, honey? You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I've had it. I know I've been a good dad in many ways. I know there's places I come up short. I know also that I've seen my kids come to me and go, I'm not getting it right now, and I know you're tired. And this, Dad, don't feel bad about this, but I'm stuck. And you know what? Let's just reset. And maybe it's just I need to get some sleep. And they've let me off the hook before.
That's amazing.
Where they're like, I know you're trying, and for whatever reason, I'm not getting it, or maybe you're not explaining it right, but whatever. There's no blame here. Let's just call a pass here, and because it's both of us, and I got to think about, or they'll come up and they'll catch that I'm like getting fatigued, and they'll find the grace to go, I did have something to do with that. You're right. I wasn't admitting that was my fault, and it was, and you're right. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, thank you. Oh, geez. Okay, I just wanted to see that you had a role in that thing. And do you understand what that will do if you keep having that behavior, whatever that is, But yeah, they've let me off the hook sometimes. I try to do my best, but I definitely have had some guilt.
So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about marriage post kids. A lot of my listeners have small kids, and obviously small kids can be a lot.
Yeah.
People often refer to the season of marriage where you have small children at home as the roommate phase. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I haven't, but I know.
So, and I feel like it's because your romantic relationship is one of the easier things to put on the back burner when you're in this busy season of life. So how would you say your marriage changed after having kids? And did you and Camilla ever experience a roommate phase?
Look, inevitably, and even without kids, I would argue that a honeymoon phase is a transient thing for a more realistic love and relationship that may not be as advertisingly romantic, but may have some more just real deep, honest understanding. Look, kids come. There's especially with small kids. Look, when a mother, there's a year, you're out. They're attached. It's the three of you at the least.
Yeah.
And that's just, I do believe we have to give ourselves a little bit of a break and go, let's have some amnesty on ourselves here. This actually is a season. And then and they are completely dependent on you, that child, especially in the young years. They are dependent. There's not a negotiation if they're dependent or not. And I'm going to be fine and you're going to be fine. We're all hands on deck here. Those little moments where we can catch our breath and go, you're sleeping. You're sleeping. Hi. Hi.
Remember me?
How are you? Ooh. you know,
Yeah.
those are gold. But there's certain things that just you don't have the room or the freedom to go. Yeah, let them go at that age. They get older. Like I was saying, sometimes you got to quit coming to me because you're bored. Go handle your own stuff, man. Figure it out. Mama taking some time together. I don't know about roommates as much as it felt like all hands on deck, and we're reacting to the needs of the infant, and we've got to go. And then a lot of the male side with the mother at that time becomes what do you need? Because when can I help you take a break? Not even about me and how can we get together. What can I do to give you a minute to put your feet up and catch a breath and tend to yourself? When's the last time you got your nails done? Or do you do, whatever that is. So a lot of that is just part of a partnering on, hey, this is the job at hand and we got to do it. And it's hard, but what a privilege and how awesome it is,
I remember when I call it the roommate phase, but I remember being in that phase when Milo was younger. And that just happened to be when I was listening to Green Lights. I would, driving in the car, I would always play it. And there was a quote in Green Lights that almost brought me to tears because I was in that roommate phase. It's on page, if people are listening and they're like, what is it? It's on page 233. Do you have any idea what quote it is that I would be talking about? No? Okay. So it's the one that goes, today I made love to my woman, not because I wanted to right then, but because I knew I'd want to when we started. And then he goes on to say, and the walk on the beach we took afterward would be more romantic. The cocktail I made at 5:45 would taste better. The shrimp I seasoned would have more savor, like all of the things. And then at the end you say, and it was, like all those things did happen. And I was like, gonna cry because you lose the intimacy with your partner. It can be very easy to lose that when you have little kids. It's like the last thing you're both thinking about. Yeah. And so it was so touching because you might not feel like it, but when you do it, like look at what happens. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so true. So can you elaborate on that just a little bit and then maybe inspire the listeners to go make love to their partner tonight?
Okay, gotta go. Yeah, this is it. Look, intellectually, you could look at it as, again, delayed gratification. There's certain things that we almost don't, especially when we're busy, like we're talking about with kids and stuff, that we don't, our being is not even open to feeling a passion or a look or a moment. And if it was, where are you going to find time anyway? Mm-hmm. Kids, work, that. But there's certain things that you go, if I make the time, and I didn't come, sometimes this is the hard part because no one likes any kind of romance to come from an intellectual thought. We want it to be just full on passion. No one wants to schedule these times. But damn it, sometimes you kind of got to go, that's our freaking hour together. Shut the rest of the world off, tell the rest of the world right here, back on. And it feels more academic because you've scheduled it. But once you're there, you're like, oh, we gave ourselves this time. I know it doesn't sound like a fairy tale romance to know that we scheduled it, but damn it, we did. I'm glad we did. And let's just forget that we scheduled it. Let's just say it. You want it to feel spontaneous, but it's hard and so once you start, you just both are so much happier. You both pass each other in the hallway a little bit differently than you didn't. You got a little bit of a wink back. You kind of have a little amnesty over here. You're grooving a little bit easier. You're having less right angles and less sort of structured about what we got to do because the rest of your life is so structured. You haven't handled this and that and the other. You're kind of forgiving each other a little bit more. you're properly lenient with each other. Won't
Mhm.
give, and the food does taste better. The walk does taste better. The talk is sexier and more musical. And the kids, the challenge with whatever's going with the kids also becomes a little more like, we
Yeah.
got this. Instead of, yeah, it's, so yeah, don't blame yourself out there for going, I don't really feel my body just wanting to right now, but I know that if I do, don't blame yourself for going, it starts off scholastic and ends up feeling romantic, and just blame yourself for popping it down in your schedule and going, that's what you got to do to put yourself in a position to do something that is going to make you happier and your spouse happier.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's like you do it and then you're like, oh my God, that was so much fun. We should do that all the time.
Yeah. Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Okay, so let's jump into the book Just Because. My new favorite children's book. It was released on September 12th. It is a New York Times bestseller, so congratulations on that. It is a book that highlights life's contradictions, letting kids know that life isn't black and white. There isn't always a clear right and wrong. Really important messaging in the book. And I'm just curious where your idea for it came from because it is so unique.
Look, generally, the ideas in the book are things that I maturely think about and try to talk about my own life with other adults and leaders and scholars and things. But I guess I was having a hunch about, seeing what my own kids were going through, seeing what I hear other kids are going through, talking to the parents about what their kids are going through. And I love trying to think of who are you communicating to? You can tell the same story. I tell the same story completely differently to my kids when I get home from True Detective, when they go, what'd you do today? Then I'm going to tell my wife. I've got to make a parable of certain things. So I want to make a parable of certain lessons that I think are truths that I've crossed in the world as an adult. So how do I package those? Well, a rhyme's nice. A ditty's nice. Illustrations help. How do we make the broccoli taste good to a younger mind and a younger heart and a younger spirit? And that's why I packaged it in a children's book to make it digestible for them, even though it's some adult themes. They're not like R-rated themes. They're just life themes that they're about how life works. To give them, kids are pressured more to be absolute about what they're doing. Who are you? What are you going to be? Early. I'm 12. Like, yes, be 12. Try things out right now. Now, wait a minute. I'm so excited to do this, but I'm so nervous. I'm confused now. Whoa, no, don't be confused. Anxiety and excitement coexist. That's good. It's good. Don't feel like it has to be one or the other. It's okay. And once we realize that these things once we call them contradictions and realize that they're not, they become something much more valuable, which is a paradox, which is innuendo, context, understanding of ourselves, the relationship we have with ourselves, relationship we have with others, where to be properly lenient with ourselves and others, and where to say, no, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to make a choice and a judgment here. That's the right one or the best for myself. So it's understanding, though, that not everyone is. Adults do it all the time. You call me and have a joke, or text me, and it could be a joke to you because you're having a great morning and you just had breakfast and it's Saturday, but I'm somewhere and my dog just died. I do not receive that joke. That's why emojis are fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, let me tone. Not that we should have to, but they're helpful. And then we never really have the emoji of where someone else is, or you don't know where they are in their life or in that moment. And to have dueling ideas in our own mind for a child can be very confusing. And when you see that they're not or and but they're and, that allows us all, and especially children, to exhale a little bit and go, oh, it's okay that I feel this way and that way about the same situation. And oh, it's okay that I feel differently about the same situation today than I felt about the same situation last week. Where without being told that, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm confused. Why do I have two different feelings? They get nervous, they feel confused, they get frustrated, they feel like, no, I have to be consistent with one feeling. No, you don't. It's okay.
Do you feel like social media plays a role in kids and teenagers wanting to, like, feeling like they have to be one absolute, or that if something happens, it's more definitive?
Yep.
Because, like, I'm an adult and I do social media for a living too. And it's just like what you were saying. Like, you're not allowed to change your mind about something on social media. No. Like, people will call you out and be like, hey, last week, you had that vegan meal and now you're eating steak. And I'm like, well, people want to label you as something. And yeah. So do you think that plays a role in that?
Well, 100%. I mean, look, we know how much people just troll or come in and want to see the disease instead of the health and whatever they do, especially if someone's successful, right? But let's talk about the other side of what you're talking about. The over-exaggeration compensation of how good things are. The Instagram of everyone's got the perfect filter and my life's so great. That can paint you kids in a corner too. It paints adults into a corner. Where it's like, well, now when I walk outside, if I'm thoughtful or not having the greatest day, people are like, what's he doing? Whoa, what's the problem? Oh my gosh. That's not who you're putting out on your socials. So kids start to feel the pressure to live up to what they're putting out on their socials as well. Mm-hmm. Instead of being able to go through. We've talked with Levi. I was like, look, man, pretty good surfer and you're putting out good stuff on the great waves. Don't be afraid to put out one where you wipe out, bro, because everyone wipes out. So don't be afraid to put that one out because you don't want to paint yourself in a corner. It looks like on your socials, the way I know you, I've never seen you do anything but catch the greatest waves.
Yeah.
Dude, take some pressure off yourself. Everyone wipes out. Put that one up there too. Put the one up where you cooped it. You know what I mean? So you're not painting yourself in that corner.
Oh, for 100%. I thought quickly, because I know you have to go soon, I wanted to read you 4 of the couplets from the book, and you could just quickly elaborate on them.
Yeah.
So the first one is, just because I lied doesn't mean that I'm a liar.
You can tell an untruth. You can be told an untruth. And if you call someone, if I call you a liar, if you fib to me right now, you call me a liar, I call you a liar. 100% pretty much you're going to defend yourself and you're going to be like, you call me a what? I just cast a character trait onto your entire being. Like across the board. Liar. Then, now, forever. There's no coming back together on that. What is often the truth is that we tell each other fibs and it's a one-off. I was trying to get away with it. I know, damn it, I did that at your expense. If I say, you lied to me there, and that hurt me because I believed it and I went and did this thing, and you go, now I just condemned that one act.
Yeah.
I didn't give you a character trait. Now we can have a discussion. Now you can seek retribution. You can go, sorry about that. I can go, yeah, I've done it before. Cool. All right, we're cool. And we can move on for it. We can move on from it. And what we have a tendency to do, kids' life and adult life, is somebody, as you just said, one thing, we label them. And anything other than that is false. So there's no room for the contradiction. There's no room for the one-off screw up.
Mm-hmm.
No, canceled, done, out of my life, done. Because you're a liar. Whoa, there ain't no coming back from that. Now, as I tell kids, if someone is a repeat offender, if they keep telling you untruths, yeah, maybe they're a liar. And maybe you shouldn't trust them, as I have in another couple. You can forgive them, but don't trust them, because now shame on you. Maybe you need to remove that person from your life because they keep tooling you with their untruths that they tell you, and it's not fair to you. So have a little more respect for yourself and maybe remove them from your life. That person may be a liar. A lot of times it's just someone tells a one-off a lie. You're like, screwed up. You're right. Now we can come back together.
So one says, just because I'm sitting still doesn't mean that I'm not busy.
Yeah.
I love this one because like my mind races. Like I could be sitting here like planning the biggest project in the world, but I'm still
Very busy.
Yeah.
Look, this comes from the obvious example of that right there. We have a lot going on in our mind. And I believe that that's still formally sacred territory and a sacred relationship that we have with ourselves. Now, the couple literally came up because I I was sitting on a park bench a couple of years ago, and I was really on my own time, really going through something. And someone came up, and I didn't look, and I said, "Excuse me, I'm thinking." And the person went like, "What? You shut up!" They thought it was so arrogant. And I, for a second, started thinking it was arrogant, but I was like, no. I was honestly going through something, man. I was having my own time. And I wasn't being rude. You just interrupted me, though. Even though it looks like I have a reservation for one, which I do. I'm having a Socratic dialogue right now, working something out. And I need this time. And I'm going to value this time. So that leans into that respect our mind time. Don't do it so much to be antisocial. Maybe pick out a spot where there's not other people sometimes, but you have the right to go, excuse me, I'm thinking, or I'm going through this. I'm praying. I've had that before. Excuse me, I'm praying. That's legitimate time. That's a legitimate relationship. You can legitimately interrupt someone to say, no, I need this time right now. It's not rude. I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm actually working.
It's funny because if you were like typing on a laptop, they probably wouldn't have thought anything. But because you're just sitting there,
Yeah.
Okay, this last one, I can't tell my husband this one, but just because we disagree doesn't mean that you're not right. He will never hear that one.
Good. Right. Look, that's an obvious challenge that we have in society today, and I would say particularly even more in America. Call it politics, what have you. We've forgotten the art of disagreeing. We've lost the art of disagreeing. We are so about right and wrong, and so much so that we've talked about over exaggeration conversation. So much so that we're not even promoting a vision, our own vision of what we think is right, as much as we're just reacting of, well, I don't know, but you're over there and I didn't even listen to what you said, but I'm going to definitely say that's wrong. Mm-hmm. Just because I don't want the competition or I don't have the courage to listen and actually, well, and then you say, what am I about? And I go, the opposite of what you're for, which is not an answer. Which is not a conversation, which is not evolution, which is not mature, which is not even that smart. But we've gotten in the habit of doing that. Mm-hmm. So that's a lean in to that about going, look, two things. It's kind of like the truth couplet in there. There's yours, there's mine, and there's what will come to be. There's what you thought about it. There's what I think about it. There's actually what happened. And to just understand that people see things a different way, that even the same, you and I can look at the sky and I can say it's blue and you can say it's turquoise. Or you can say it's green, I can say it's blue and it's actually turquoise.
Yeah.
But, if you go, well, she says it's green, but no, it's not. I know it's definitely, no, it's not. She's not right because it's blue. Again, it's the paradox where there are contradictions. People see different things. People are looking at things from a different view. People are seeing things from a different light, from a different angle. And it's not saying, hey, so just be open to everybody. Let everyone do whatever they want to do. No, it's not saying that. It's just saying, understand that people see things your way. Listen, try to see it from their position. Try to share your own position and then make a judgment and then make your own decision and make your choice.
Yeah.
Be responsible for your choice. Then you have your own style, but understand that what your truth may be different than someone else's. Just understand that. That's not conceding.
goes back to almost like the black and white thinking, and people don't want to believe that there's any gray area. It's like, no, you're right, I'm wrong, or other way around. You're wrong, I'm right.
And
Yeah.
I get it. Get it because it's so tough in this mass information age, and the amount of information that's coming at us that's irresponsibly just false, or selling someone's own cord and not telling actually the facts. We're looking for something. What can we rely on? I mean, facts are an underdog today. We don't even know how to define those, much less truths. You know what I mean? So it's not it's very hard. And you want to find things that are black and white. You want that simplicity that you had when you were a kid. So this is this and this is this. But it's part of growing up. It's not that way everywhere. And you want that to have a sense of, oh, I have an identity. I have a flagpole I'm holding on. I have a team. Okay, this is my tribe. Okay, what are y'all about? Oh, whatever the opposite of what they're about. Okay, I don't even know. Okay, but I'm here. I feel safe. It's a place to catch your breath, and it's a bit of a lazy place that we're all prone to be lazy. I'm guilty of it too. We need some comfort. We want a like meets with like, but let's at least define what it is that we're saying we're liking. Because as I was saying, most of the time it's like, well, I don't know what I'm for. I just know I'm against whatever they're for. That's not really. It's not really affirm. That's called counterpuncher, and we become a bit of a world of counterpunchers. And you're like, well, what's your game plan? I don't know. I'm just going to counter to what they do. Like, no, dude, have a plan.
Okay. Before I let you go, I wanted to mention, so I was looking at previous episodes of this podcast. I've been doing it for over 3 years now. And I have an episode from a couple years ago that's called My New Year's Resolutions and Matthew McConaughey Impression. Because it's like a habit. I do this impression of you all the time. So I can't let you leave without doing my impression of you for you.
Right.
But keep in mind, like, I am not Dax Shepard. I am a Canadian girl that grew up in Northern Ontario. Okay. So this is like my best, like, Texas
I want to hear you put
Matthew
the little
McConaughey
script on into those words. All right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Was that pretty good?
I would know. I would say I would know who you're talking about.
Okay, good. Nailed it. Okay, well, this was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope everybody goes and picks up Just because it makes adults think as well.
Renee, nice to meet you. Enjoyed that.